The sky above Tarsa's IV burned red as Lieutenant Arlen Voss's escape pod crashed through the atmosphere. Flames licked at the small metal shell, shaking it hard. Warning lights blinked. Sparks flew. He held on tightly, teeth clenched. "Come on. Just hold together," he shouted. Moments later, the pod hit the ground with a loud crash, rolling over thick jungle vines before coming to a smoking stop. Everything was quiet. Arlen opened the hatch. Gasping for breath, the air was thick and humid with a strange smell. A mix of wildflowers and something that reminded him of raw meat. His leg ached, and his flight suit was torn at the shoulder. But he was alive. He stumbled out of the wreckage and looked around. Giant trees rose into the sky, their trunks glowing faintly with blue moss. Strange bird-like creatures screeched in the distance. Insects buzzed louder than any he'd heard before. He reached for his wrist, calm. "This is LT Arlen Voss 3rd. Recon. I've crash-landed on Tarsus 4. Location, unknown. No contact with the crew. Requesting immediate pickup. Static, no signal." He sighed. Of course. Arlen checked the small sidearm strapped to his leg. 1 charge left. Deal. He knew Tarsus 4 was dangerous, marked as hostile in Terran files. But the mission had gone bad fast. A Threxian ambush, a hit to the engines. And now he was here, alone, stranded or so he thought. That night, while setting up a small camp, near a warm rock ledge, he heard a sound that made his heart freeze. A low growl, then heavy, thudding footsteps. He turned and saw her, at least 18 feet tall, dark. With dark gray skin and armor made from the bones of alien beasts, the creature stepped out from behind a massive tree. Her eyes glowed orange in the dark. Her long braided hair hung behind her like thick cords. She was powerful, muscular, a walking tank, a Threxian Huntress. And she was looking right at him. "Run," Arlen whispered to himself, and did. He darted into the jungle, heart pounding, branches slapping his face. Behind him, the Giantess gave a roar and began chasing him.
Ow.
She moved fast, too fast for her size. Trees shook as she ran through them like paper. He threw himself down a ravine, rolling hard, barely missing a sharp rock. He landed near a swamp, chest heaving. Covered his boots, and something slithered by his leg. He didn't care. He looked back, expecting her to leap down after him. But she didn't. Instead, she stood above the ravine, watching him. Her head tilted slightly. She didn't attack. She just watched. Then, with a growl that almost sounded like a chuckle, she turned and disappeared into the trees. Arlen lay in the mud for a long time, trying to make sense of what just happened. The next day, he moved carefully. He found some wild fruit that didn't look poisonous, filtered some water, and cleaned his wounds. But he kept feeling it, the sense of being followed. Not by a beast, by a hunter every now and then. He saw her in the distance. She didn't try to hide. She wanted him to know she was there. Like a game, he tried to lose her, changed direction, climbed trees, swam through rivers. But she always found him, always watching, always waiting, finally. On the 3rd day, she made her move. He was resting near a cave when a net made of glowing blue thread dropped from the trees above. He rolled, tried to run, but it was too late. The net wrapped around him, humming with energy. His muscles locked up. Then she dropped down from the canopy like a shadow. Up close, she was even more terrifying. Her sharp teeth gleamed. Her armor clinked as she moved. She crouched beside him and poked him with a clawed finger gently, like testing a fruit. Arlen stared into her glowing eyes, heart thudding. "I'm not food," he said slowly, hoping she understood. She tilted her head. Then, to his shock, she spoke slowly, in broken Terran. "Not food." His eyes widened. "You speak English?" She frowned, then tapped a small translator crystal on her chest. "Learning, hard. Words, you. Fast. Clever." Arlen blinked. Was that praise? She reached into a pouch and pulled out a metal band. It looked like a collar. "Oh no," he muttered. "I don't like where this is going." But instead of putting it on him, she pressed a button and the net powered down. Arlen slumped, confused. Then she did something that surprised him even more. She stepped back, gave a short bow, and growled one word: "Talk." Arlen sat on a flat rock, hands resting on his knees. He was still breathing fast. Across from him stood the Giantess, the Threxian Huntress, who had chased, trapped, and then released him. This was not what he expected. Zara, as she finally told him her name, stood like a statue. Her orange eyes never left him, and she kept her claws close to her belt, just in case. But she made no move to hurt him. Arlen spoke slowly. "You don't want to eat me?" Zara raised one brow ridge. "Eat? No. Test." "Test?" he asked, confused. "You survive. You run, you think," she said, tapping her temple. "Most prey do not." Arlen narrowed his eyes. "So you hunt people to see if they're smart?" Zara nodded once. "Smart prey. Become useful." He didn't like the sound of that. "Useful how?" She didn't answer. Instead, she handed him something small, a metal disc with blinking lights. A translator, more advanced than hers. Arlen clipped it to his ear. A beep followed, then her voice came through. Clearer, this time. "Now you hear me better," she said. "Yes," Arlen said carefully. "Thank you." There was a long pause. Then Zara grinned. "You are polite prey." They walked through the jungle together. Zara walked. Arlen mostly jogged to keep up. She moved with quiet power, part warrior, part hunter. Her huge feet didn't make a sound on the ground. She didn't speak much either, only short answers when he asked questions. They arrived at a high ridge where the trees cleared and a view of the valley stretched out below. In the center, half hidden by vines, stood a strange structure. Smooth black walls, lights blinking in patterns. "That's not Threxian, is it?" Arlen asked. Zara shook her head. "Old, from before." "Before what?" She didn't answer. They moved on. Soon they reached a camp. Not a village, but a hunting base. Other Threxians walked between tall bone towers and strange machines. Some turned to stare at Arlen, their yellow or orange eyes narrowing. A few growled. Softly, Zara stepped in front of him. "No touch," she snapped. The others looked away. Arlen whispered, "Are they?" Angry, Zara kept walking. "Jealous of me?" "You survived," she said simply. "Others wanted to hunt you. I did first." That didn't make him feel better. Inside a large stone and metal tent, Arlen was given a seat beside a fire. Zara handed him some strange fruit and dried meat, not human, thankfully. He ate carefully while the others watched. "You are now marked," Zara told him. "Marked?" "Yes, you are. Not prey anymore." Arlen blinked. "So what am I?" She smiled in a way that made him nervous. "Now, you are choice." "Choice? For what?" She didn't answer directly. Among Threxians, to chase a clever prey is honor. To catch one is glory. But to win one. She trailed off. Arlen set down the fruit. "Wait, are you saying I'm valuable?" she said. He rubbed his forehead. "I came here for a recon mission, not dating." Zara made a deep, rumbling laugh. "You think this is mating? You're funny?" "No, not yet. First we learn." "What, if you are strong, not just body?" she said, tapping his chest. "Mind, heart, spirit. Threxians do not choose weak mates." "Good," Arlen muttered. "'Cause I'm not planning to marry an alien warrior queen." Zara shrugged. "Not yet." Over the next few days, Arlen learned more about the Threxians. They were hunters, yes, but not monsters. They respected strength, strategy, and survival. Their culture was built around testing each other, proving worth. Not through war, but through the hunt. And not all hunts ended in blood. Some were for challenge, some were for bonding. Some were for choosing partners. Arlen was part of that now. Not by choice, but by surviving. Zara took him to different areas. Ruined temples filled with traps, deep caves with echo beasts, and rivers full of invisible fish that shocked anything that touched them. She didn't protect him, only watched, but every time he figured out a puzzle, built a tool, or escaped danger, she nodded in approval. "You learned fast," she said once. After he used a vine trap to catch food. "I don't want to die." He replied, "Good reason." One night as they sat near the fire, Arlen asked her a serious question. "Why me? Why humans?" Zara looked into the flames. "Threxians used to hunt many species. Most are gone, weak, slow. You humans fight back. Think fast, small, but full of fire. Some might say we're dangerous." She smiled. "Yes, that's why you are interesting." Arlen thought for a moment. So this was never about eating me? She turned her head and stared at him. "If I wanted to eat you, Arlen Voss, you would already be gone." He swallowed. Point taken. She leaned closer, her voice low. "But you ran, you fought, you stayed alive. That means something to my people. That means something to me." He looked up at her. "And now," she said, standing, "you are no longer just prey. You are a partner." He stood too. "Partner? In what?" She gave a wicked smile. "The games have only begun." Arlen Voss stood at the edge of the Threxian arena, heart pounding. The sky above was dark purple, the sun dipping behind the black mountains. Torches made of glowing crystals lit the ring below where sharp rocks, bone weapons, and old Threxian machines had been placed. He wasn't alone anymore. Across from him stood 3 other Threxian huntresses, taller and stronger than even Zara. They wore thick armor, painted with the blood of past victories. Their eyes glowed with challenge. One of them stepped forward. Her voice was cold. "This is the human Zara captured. Small, weak. He does not look like a partner." Zara stood beside Arlen, quiet but firm. "He is clever. He outwitted the swamp tigers, escaped 3 traps, survived alone for 4 days. His prey," the other huntress snapped. "And you treat him like a prize." Zara didn't blink, because he earned it. The tallest Threxian, with scars down both arms, laughed loudly, then let him prove it by fire. Around them cheered. Zara looked at Arlen. "This is the trial of games, not fight to death. Test of mind, strength, courage." Arlen swallowed hard. "Do I have a choice?" Zara gave a small smile. "You are free. But if you leave, they will call you prey again." Arlen took a deep breath. "Let's play then." The first trial was the puzzle tower. Arlen was led into a tall black pillar filled with turning gears, moving platforms and symbols on the walls. The goal, reach the top without falling, solving each puzzle before the time ran out. As soon as he stepped inside, the door sealed shut, lights blinked. The floor beneath him moved. "Great," he muttered. A space jungle version of a death escape room started moving quickly, jumping over spinning gears and ducking under swinging blades. On the wall, strange glowing shapes pulsed a code. He remembered something Zara once said. "Threxians hide their answers in pain." He reached out, touched a hot symbol. It burned slightly, but it lit the rest of the path. Arlen smiled. Of course, kept going, using logic, instinct, and a few lucky guesses. 20 minutes later, he climbed. Out of the tower, covered in sweat but grinning, Zara stood at the base. "You lived," she said. "Barely. But better than last challenger." He fell on second floor. Arlen blinked. Did he survive? No. The second game was the Beast Run. Arlen was dropped in a large forest arena. No weapons. No tools. Just him. A massive 6-legged predator with armored plates and 2 tusks the size of swords. It roared from the other side. Of the clearing, Arlen did not roar back. He ran, but he didn't run blindly. He remembered the trees he passed earlier. Some had large fruit with sticky juice. Grabbed one, smeared it on a fallen log. then dove into a hole beneath a root. The Varkle charged after the scent. It slipped. The log snapped. The beast crashed. Down the hill, roaring in anger, Arlen climbed out of hiding. Panting, the Threxian watchers cheered. Zara clapped once, the Threxian version of applause. "You used your mind," she said as he returned. "I used terror," Arlen said, still catching his breath. Zara gave a sharp nod. Same thing. The final trial was the fire stand, a simple test stand on a narrow rock platform in the middle of a lake of fire. Stay balanced while the platform spins. Answer questions shouted by the Huntresses. If the answer is wrong, or the balance is lost, the heat rises. Shara warned him before it began. "They want to break your will." He stood on the platform, sweat already pouring down his face. A voice boomed from the side. "Human, what is strength?" Arlen blinked. "Not just muscle. It's choosing to stand when you want to fall." The heat stayed the same. Another voice. "What is fear?" He closed his eyes. "The thing I carry, but I don't let it drive." The platform spun faster. Flames jumped higher. But he stayed steady. Final question. "What is honor?" At. Towards Zara, who watched silently. "Honor is respect. Earned, not demanded." Silence. Then the flames dropped. A horn blew trial complete. That night, Arlen sat at the edge of the camp, sipping cold water. His legs ached. His skin was sore. But he was alive. Zara sat beside him, quiet as always. "You passed," she said, barely. He muttered, "Still passed." They looked out over the jungle together. "You didn't have to defend me," he said softly. "Zara didn't turn. You did it yourself." "That matters." He smiled. "So, what happens now?" "Now," she said, glancing at him. "Now the clans know you are not prey. You are choice." He sighed. "You keep saying that. What does it mean?" She looked him directly in the eyes. "It means some will try to take you. Not to eat, to win, as mate, as partner, for glory." Arlen blinked. "That's not comforting." Zara leaned closer. "I won't let them." He raised an eyebrow. "Because I'm useful?" Her voice was low. "Because you're mine." Arlen Voss woke before the suns rose. The twin moons were still high, casting silver light across the jungle. Zara had given him a place to sleep in her tent, not out of kindness, she said, but protection. After the trials, some Threxians had started whispering. Some didn't like that a human had passed. Others were planning things. Arlen sat outside now, watching the mist roll through the trees. His mind was busy. He wasn't sure what he was anymore. Not a soldier, not a prisoner, not prey. But not quite safe either. He heard soft footsteps. Zara appeared, tall and calm, her armor off, wearing a thick woven tunic of beast hide. "You didn't sleep," she said. "Didn't feel like it." She sat beside him. "Tonight you leave the camp." He looked at her. "Why?" "Because the elders are meeting tomorrow. Some want you gone. Others want to trade you to the Scorch clan." Arlen frowned. "Like a prize, like a trophy. And what do you want?" She looked straight into his eyes. "I want you to stay." I stayed quiet for a moment, then said, "So we run?" Zara shook her head. "We go to the old place. The ruins. There is something you must see." By dawn, they were deep in the jungle, heading toward the mountains. Vines hung low. The ground was soft with moss and ancient leaves. Strange bird creatures with glowing wings fluttered past. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. After a few hours, Kay reached it. A valley hidden between cliffs full of tall black stone towers. Half buried in vines and fog, the ruins. Arlen stepped forward carefully. "This isn't Threxian, is it?" Zara shook her head. "This is older, very old." He looked at the walls, smooth metal mixed with crystal. Writing he didn't understand ran along the edges. The air felt thick, like it remembered things. Zara guided him to a building with a shattered door. Inside, the walls glowed faint blue. A large console stood in the middle, broken but still humming. "What is this place?" he asked. She replied, a memory. She handed him a small metal disc, the same kind she wore for translation. Put this in. He pressed it to the console. The room came to life. A hologram appeared, hazy, flickering, but clear enough. It showed a group of humans. Terran. Scientists, military uniforms, laughing, working, standing beside Threxians. Not in chains, not fighting. Working together. Arlen stared. This is from before. Zara nodded. Your people came here long ago. Before the war, before the burning sky, we were allies once. We shared the hunt. He turned to her, surprised. What happened? Zara's voice lowered. They left, and others came. Cruel ones. They broke the balance. Took, burned, hunted. Only to destroy. My people forgot the old way. Became only warriors. Lost the bond. He felt cold. So what? I'm a reminder. She looked at him. You are a chance. A chance for what? To rebuild it? Suddenly a sound echoed outside. Zara tensed. Arlen reached for the small blade she had given him earlier. Voices, loud, harsh. Then shadows appeared at the broken doorway. 3 Threxians entered. Armed with spears, energy rifles, and war paint. One of them was the tall, scarred warrior from the trials. She growled. You stole him, Zara. Zara stepped in front of Arlen. He is free. He is ours. The elders ruled. He must return, or bleed. Arlen whispered. Can we take them? Us. Jaw clenched. Maybe, but not without injury. The scarred warrior lifted her rifle. Step aside, sister. Zara didn't move. Then you fall with him. She leaped first. Zara launched forward, slamming into the warrior with a roar. The 2 others aimed at Arlen. He rolled aside, grabbed a sharp piece of metal from the ground, and threw it at one, striking the rifle from her hands. The other. Shot, barely missing, Arlen ducked, grabbed a loose cable from the console, and whipped it around a pipe. As the attacker charged, he pulled hard. The cable snapped up and wrapped around her legs, tripping her. Zara was holding her own claws against blade, teeth bared, armor clashing. She moved like a storm. Arlen saw his chance and hit a glowing panel on the console. Energy surged. Pulse exploded outward, blasting everyone off their feet. The Threxian warriors groaned. Stunned, Shara stood first. Go, she told them coldly, or the old machines will wake. They limped out, defeated. Silence returned. Later, as they rested outside the ruins, Arlen touched a broken wall. So this was the truth. We were friends once. Zara nodded. Yes. And now? Maybe again. Arlen turned to her. Why did you protect me back there? She didn't answer right away, then said quietly, because you are not just prey. Not just a game, you are. Different. Arlen met her gaze. You too. They sat together in silence, the ancient ruins glowing faintly behind them. A moment passed, then Zara stood. We return tomorrow, but not to the camp. Where then? The Skycaller clan. They follow the old ways, they may listen. Arlen stood too. And if they don't, Zara looked into the distance. Then we fight. The wind howled over the ridge as Arlen and Zara stood before the great gates of the Skycaller clan. Carved into the cliffside, the gates rose higher than any tree Arlen had ever seen. They were not metal or stone, but made from the bones of massive beasts, clean white, and woven together with golden cords that shimmered in the sun. 2 guards stood at the entrance. Tall Threxians with pale armor and long staffs. Their expressions were calm, but cautious. Zara stepped forward first. I come with choice, she said. One guard tilted her head. The human? He passed the trials. He knows the old truth. He saw the ruins. The guards looked at each. Other? Then opened the gates without a word. Inside the Skycaller stronghold, the air was cooler. Large stone circles were arranged like steps, each one higher than the last, forming a spiral that led up to a tall tower in the middle. This was not a place of war, Arlen noticed. It was a place of watching, thinking, remembering. Threxians. moved quietly, many wearing robes instead of armor. Some had crystal staffs. A few even had human tech devices, half-repaired and glowing faintly. Zara led Arlen to the top tower, where 5 elders waited around a fire pit. Their eyes were silver gray, their scales marked with time. The middle elder spoke, her voice gentle, but firm. "You bring us something dangerous, Zara of the Ember Hunt?" Zara bowed. "I bring you a chance." The elder turned to Arlen. "Human, speak." Arlen cleared his throat. "My name is Arlen Voss. I came here by accident, but I stayed by choice. I passed the trials, survived the ruins. I fought for my place." The elders listened quietly. "I know our people were once allies. I saw the memory recordings. We shared knowledge. We shared peace." Another elder spoke. "Then why did your kind leave?" "I don't know," Arlen admitted. "But I believe we can return." "Return to what?" "To trust." Silence followed. The fire crackled. Then the head elder leaned forward. "What do you want, Arlen Voss?" He hesitated. "I want freedom. I want peace. I want to help. And," his eyes flicked to Zara, "I want to stand beside those who stood by me." The elder looked at Zara. "And you? You claim him?" Zara nodded. "I do." One of the younger elders scowled. "The clans will not like this. Other war leaders already sent hunters. The Scorch clan is angry." "We are not their shadow," the head elder replied. She looked again at Arlen. Then he must prove himself one last time. Not with fire, not with blood, but with choice. That evening, Arlen sat on a ledge overlooking the valley. Zara sat beside him, sharpening her blade with a quiet rasp. "Do you know what they're planning?" he asked. Zara didn't stop sharpening. "Final rite. Not a battle. Binding." "Binding sounds serious." She gave a small nod. "It is." "They're not going to paint my skin and tie me to a tree, are they?" Zara smiled. "No. But after tomorrow, if you pass, you will no longer be visitor or prey. You will be named." Arlen raised an eyebrow. "Named?" She looked at him. "Given a place in the clan. Among us, it is the highest honor." He looked down. "And if I say no," she went quiet for a moment, "then they will return you to your people, and I will lose my claim." Arlen turned to her. "You talk about claiming a lot." Zara's voice was soft now. "Because in Threxian ways, to choose someone is rare. We fight for survival. We do not give our trust easily, but when we do, it stays." He felt her words settle deep in his chest. Warm. Heavy. "And what do you want?" She paused, then said, "I want what we lost. I want the old ways. And I want to fight beside someone who sees more than the hunt." They sat quietly for a long time. The next morning, the Skycaller clan gathered on the high platform at the top of the tower. Mist rolled through the valley. Banners of woven vines and shining bone flapped in the wind. The rite began. The elders stood in a circle, Zara beside them, tall and proud. Arlen was brought into the middle. No weapons, no armor, only a simple tunic. The head elder stepped forward. "This is the last test, not of strength, but of will." She held up 2 objects, in one hand a crystal pendant shaped like a hunter's claw, in the other a signal beacon. Old but functional, human technology. "If you choose the pendant," she said, "you are one of us. You are bound to our people, to our ways, and to Zara. If you choose the beacon, we will send your signal. A ship will come. You will leave." The wind blew softly. Everyone watched. Arlen stepped forward, his heart beating loud in his chest. He looked at the pendant. He looked at the beacon. Then he closed his eyes and made his choice. He took the pendant. The crowd let out a low, strong sound. Not a cheer, but something deeper. A call. Zara stepped forward, and for the first time, she placed her hand on his chest. "You are no longer prey," she said. "You are mine, and I am yours." Arlen smiled. "I guess I've been claimed. Glad you finally understand." She said, voice warm. The elders nodded. and above them, the wind carried the sound of drums echoing into the wild. The drums still echoed through the valley. Arlen Voss stood on the Skycaller tower, the crystal pendant resting against his chest. He had made his choice. He was no longer just a visitor, no longer prey, no longer alone. He was one of them. Zara stood beside him, tall and proud, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. She didn't speak, but her eyes told him everything. Trust, loyalty, bond. But peace never lasted long on this world. As the sun rose, a sharp cry cut through the air. A lookout sprinted toward the tower steps. "They come!" she shouted. "From the east. Scorch Clan ships. Warriors. Many." The Skycaller elders exchanged quick glances. "They move fast," said one. "Too fast." "They know the human chose," said another. "Now they want him. For power, for pride." Zara turned to Arlen. "They will not stop. Not until they take you." Arlen tightened his grip on the pendant. "Then we don't let them." Within the hour, the Skycaller warriors were ready. They didn't have the numbers of the Scorch Clan, but they had the high ground, old machines, and a deep memory of war. Arlen stood in the watch chamber, going over defense plans on a cracked holopad, helping the Threxians set traps using human tech. "They'll come from the canyon path," he said. "Fastest route. But if we set plasma charges there, we can block the first wave." Zara nodded. "And we take the high trees for archers. You lead the trap. I hold the gate." He looked at her. "You sure?" She gave a small grin. "I'm not letting them take what I've claimed." By midday, the sky turned dark. Black ships, sharp, fast, and deadly, roared across the cliffs, landing just outside the valley. Hundreds of Scorch Clan warriors poured out, painted in war symbols. Weapons glowing red dot at the canyon pass. Arlen crouched with 2 Skycaller scouts. The plasma charges were buried beneath rocks. They waited, quiet as stone. Then came the rumble. Of footsteps, Arlen pressed the detonator. The ground exploded. Dust and flame filled the air, and several warriors were thrown backward. Confused, they scattered right into a second trap. Nets of burning vines dropped from above. The Skycaller defenders struck fast, using the trees and cliffs as cover. Arlen joined them, using a stolen energy rifle. He wasn't the best shot, but every bolt counted. One Scorch Clan warrior charged at him, massive and armored. Arlen ducked, rolled, and fired upward. The bolt hit the warrior's knee, sending him crashing to the ground. From the gate, Zara saw the fight and let out a deep, warlike howl. She charged into the battle, blade flashing. Every strike was perfect. Every movement sharp and powerful. But there were too many. Slowly, the Scorch Clan pushed forward at the tower. The Skycaller elders watched with worry. "If we fall here," said one, "the clans will follow the Scorch path. No more peace. No more choice." Arlen, breathing hard, reached the gate again, his tunic torn, face scratched, but still standing. "We hold the tower," he said. "Whatever it takes." Zara was wounded, a long cut on her side, but still fighting. She looked at him and nodded. "This is our stand." Suddenly, a loud sound echoed across the sky, not from the battlefield, but from above. Everyone looked up. A Terran ship, old, rusted, but working. It hovered above the valley, lights blinking. Arlen's eyes widened. "They received my old signal." He said, "The beacon I didn't choose. It's still activated." The ship hovered. A voice boomed from it, in human language and translated Threxian. "This is Commander Reyes of the Terran frontier. We come in peace. We tracked a distress signal and recorded interclan conflict." Zara's eyes narrowed. "Will they help?" Arlen looked up, unsure, or make things worse. A moment later, a smaller human shuttle dropped into the valley and landed near the gate. Arlen and Zara moved quickly toward it. The Scorch Clan warriors hesitated, unsure what this new power meant. The shuttle door opened. A human officer stepped out, tall, clean uniform, careful eyes. She saw Arlen and smiled slightly. "You're the one who sent the ancient beacon?" Arlen nodded. "It's not by choice, but yes." She looked around. "It's like you made some unusual friends." "They're more than friends," he said firmly. "They're family." The officer nodded. "We don't want war, but we can help, if the clans are willing to listen." Hours later, the Scorch clan retreated. Not out of fear, but confusion. The humans had returned not as conquerors, but as watchers. And that changed everything. The elders of Skycaller and Terran leaders met under the moonlight. Zara stood at Arlen's side as he spoke for both. "We want peace," he said. "We want the old ways alliance, not war. Choice, not chains." The humans agreed. They had come expecting danger, but found something different. Hope days later. As the dust settled, Arlen stood at the same cliff where he had once been called prey. Now he was named, respected, and remembered. Zara joined him. "So," she asked, "if your people ask you to return, will you go?" He looked at her, the jungle, the stars. "No," he said. "I already chose." She smiled. "Good, I don't share," he laughed. "I know." They stood side by side, wind in their hair. A human and a huntress, no longer enemies, no longer strangers, just two warriors building a new future together.